Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Well, we made it out of Quartzsite. We were so busy it wasn't even funny. That's why we didn't put out a video for a while, because we were so busy in Quartzsite doing solar installs, fire suppression. We just ran out of time to do videos, unfortunately. So I apologize for that, but we're back. We're in Salt Lake, Great Salt Lake State Park. We've done a few videos on this park before, so I'll put some links in the description to those if you want to check them out. But today we have a major problem with the Volvo. Major problem. Well, it's major to us. We travel a lot and it's nice to have climate control, but we don't right now. So check it out. See anything that shouldn't be? Well, you can see that little foil section over there is actually a rubber hose with some insulation around it, and it's leaking on pretty much both ends of that section. So about every 1,000 miles, the air conditioning goes out. Well, it doesn't go out, it just starts blowing warm. So we'll have it charged, 1,000 miles, blows warm. That's the only leak that I could find. So went over and had the system evacuated. I'm going to replace this line, and then we'll go have it charged, and hopefully we'll be good to go. Okay, so here's the new line, 100% Volvo part. Now this hose from Volvo I think was in the neighborhood of 400 bucks, but I got it at Class 8 truck parts online, and it was about 250 bucks. Already has a Schrader valve installed, has O-rings on all these ends. This Y actually feeds the cab, front of the cab air conditioning, and this one feeds the rear cab air conditioning. This is where the old hose is leaking, around this hose. It's actually a rubber hose dividing these, and that's where it's leaking. So we're gonna get the old hose pulled out and get this one installed, and then get some Freon back in this thing. Okay, seems pretty straightforward. You got this union here that I disconnected, got a number 10 bolt up here and a number 10 bolt here. The bracket is actually welded to our new tube. This tube just attaches to that. So we're gonna loosen this one, but we're just gonna kind of let it dangle here until we get this one replaced. We got the same situation over here, two number 10s, and then we go down and the pipe curves up and goes up into the back of the heater core, and there's one, I believe it's a number 10 clamp holding that on, and once you take that clamp off it should pop out. So let's go ahead and get started and get these off. All right, let's see here, see if I can get to this one first. We'll get this clamp, get this other line loose. You want to be very careful not to let any contamination get in here, so that's why I have the other end of this this line that connects here. I have it tucked up here out of the way so we won't get any dirt in it. Let me go rescue that ratchet. 1 second. line will come out just like that. Okay, pretty straightforward. So there's the line loose on this end. We still have to go to that end and disconnect it from the core, so we'll go do that. And then the new hose came with new O-rings and all that on it, so we're not going to worry about that right now. We'll go get that other end disconnected, get the new hose in. This right here is the other end of that tube, and you can see there's a number 12 bolt right there we're going to pull out. That'll disconnect it from this side. However, get back in here, you can see there where it was, and this piece goes up into the back of the core. I'm going to try to get my mirror on it here so you can see it with a flashlight. Let me see what I can do. I don't know how well you guys can see that, probably not very well, but up there between those two lines there's a little clip with a bolt. But loosen that bolt and the line should pop out, so I'm going to give that a shot. Alright, so I'm going to take this number 12 bolt out first. Right here. They're pretty tight. Jeez. Okay, let me regroup. Alright, I went and got the 3/8 ratchet. Let's see here. That quarter just didn't have enough leverage. Oh man, I'm gonna have to get a wrench. Jeez. Oh, there we go. I think. Oh my goodness. I'm thinking dissimilar metals or something. There we go. She's loosening up. I think it had Loctite on it, honestly. Nice and quiet and nice and warm out here today. Monday we had a blizzard. Today's Thursday and pretty much all the snow's gone except on the mountains, which is beautiful. It's a beautiful late March day here at the Great Salt Lake State Park. You can see how far the water is down. They're having issues here just like they are at other big lakes in this country. Lake Powell is about dried up. Lake Mead is right behind it. And Great Salt Lake, you can see they pulled all the boats out of the marina because the water is so shallow. I think some of them were sitting on the bottom. There's some deeper areas over there. You can see the kayakers coming in, but it's almost too shallow to even launch a boat. Launch at your own risk. It's a shame to see. Hopefully they'll get some rain. Get this thing back up. There we go. All right. Whew. One number 12 bolt. Okay. There we go. Okay, so the only one we have left to do is up inside here. I'm gonna see if I can get that. I'll probably have to do it off camera. I don't know if I can get you guys up in here enough to see it, but it's probably way too dark under there. So yeah, shouldn't be too bad as long as I can get my fingers up in there to get to the, actually I think I'm over here. Get the nut bolt, my hands up in there to get to the bolt. So let me give it a shot. I think it's going to be nearly impossible to get up in here without removing this air box. So let me get this out of the way. There's a couple bolts up top and the whole thing kind of tilts. It kind of hinges right here. So I think once I get those bolts off, I can hinge it down out of the way and maybe see the back of that. So 2 14s. Let's see if we can get these loose. Oh my goodness. Bruno must have put these bolts in, man. Jeez. They're all super tight. Once I get them broke loose, they're not too bad. This one's definitely stiffer than the other one. Okay, there's a 14. Thing's trying to hinge open on me and making the bolts tighter. There we go. Okay, another number 14. And then this thing should come down. I figured I could get to them from the back, but it doesn't look like that's the case. All right, plan B. Let me dig into this. I almost forgot to show you the new bling. got new bling on the hubcaps. I'll put a link in the description for these. Get them off Amazon. They're like 180 bucks for all 4 rears and 2 fronts. Now they're plastic. These are separate. It comes with a little wrench to put these on. This pops off for service. So pretty cool. Thanks to our friends Mark and Jen for recommending those. They put them on their truck. I thought they looked sweet, so we got them for ours. But again, I'll put a link in the description below for those on Amazon. All right, I took this air box out of the way. It just hooks in here and hinges up and has the 2 bolts at the top that you saw me take out. If you can see it in there, there's a bolt in there and there's a bolt down there on the bottom. There's 4 of them. This whole thing will come out of the way. I got that box out. Let me show you what it looks like. Something I found a little bit annoying. Of course, this is the back. This goes up against the cab like that. This seals against. This little seal is rolled, so I'll fix that. A couple things I noticed that were a little annoying. These 2 mounts over here against the firewall were actually number 14 bolts, and I'll show you what they look like this. And the other side, this side, they have studs with number 15. Whoops. So this side, number 14 bolts. This side, number 15 nuts on a stud. Not sure exactly why that is, but it is what it is. So anyway, so I took that off, just kind of set it up there. I had to disconnect the air hose, and then we took this off. It's just 4 bolts, and now we can get to the back of here. I'm glad I took that apart, because this is actually a star bolt that there's no way, I don't think I could have got to it. Okay, so kind of get in the dark here. So this is if I get it to focus, a T30. So a T30 for this little bolt right here. There we go. So a T30. So I got it loose, and you see on my extension it fits just perfectly between that pipe and this little bolt. Let's see if we can get it out. There we go. Now let's see if I can get it out without dropping it. That's gonna be the tricky part. Okay, so there's the bolt right there. And there's the clip, and there's the hose. And then with the clip. Okay, I rescued the clip. Looks kind of like that. So it goes in like this over the high pressure hose and the low pressure hose. All right, there's new hose, there's old hose. Once I popped this clip off, it pretty much fell out, so no big deal. Now we just need to get the new hose back in. Reverse of install. So we're going to put this end in first. Then we're going to loop it up over there, hook the other end up, and then we can get an appointment to have this thing recharged. All right, guys, all installed. What I did is I put this little screw in just loosely so it would hold the pipe up here. I did have to loosen this bracket to give me some flexibility. You see that's rubber on that end, so give me a little flexibility to get this connection back together straight. One thing you got to be very careful of is not to pinch those O-rings. If you pinch them, they'll leak, and then you'll have trouble from the beginning. Got it all back in up there and across and down, hooked to that hose, and then I came back and I tightened the brackets and then tightened this up. I just have to put this little clamp back on, and everything's good to go. My heater core looks good. I'm going to actually inspect down in there and make sure there's no leaks. It looks pretty clean, but I'm going to check it while I've got it apart. We also have a fairly major air leak somewhere, so we're going to tackle that next. All right, all back together. Everything went right back the way it should. Got everything connected. Okay, we're gonna try to find our air leak here. You can see this front tank has already bled off. It's only been, oh, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes since I had it started earlier. So we're gonna let the forward tank air up, and then I'm gonna see if I can find the leak under the, I think it's in the front left somewhere, maybe down low, so we'll find it. Air conditioner seems to work good now. Starting to cool off. Oh yeah. I end up having to recharge it myself. TA wouldn't do it because I don't have a company name or a DOT number because I'm private. So I went over to Love's Speedco. I've had them charge it before, and they were too busy. It was going to be all day waiting because it's first come, first serve. But so I just went and got the Freon at the local auto parts store, and I already had a hose and gauge on it, so I went ahead and just charged it myself. Seems to be working good. We've got air, so let's shut this thing off and see if we can find the leak. Oh, I can hear it. Okay, it might be time for soapy water. Okay guys, I found it. So this is on the driver's side up by the tranny. That hose is either broken or about to come out. So I'm gonna see if I can get to it from the top. Stand by. All right, let me get my flashlight here. See that fitting right there? That's where this black hose was plugged in, and I'm checking the end of it for damage, and it's not really damaged. I don't find any cracks or anything in the hose, but you can see here on the end, maybe it's not too bright, it's got a bunch of score marks from that fitting, so I'm hoping it just loosened up in the fitting. I'm going to take my little PEX tubing cutters, get a nice square cut. I'm going to go just past those lines and cut it just like that. Now it's nice and square, nice and flat, and I'm going to go ahead and plug it back in to that fitting. Then we'll air up the truck and see if it leaks. If it still leaks, I'll have to go down to Volvo and get a fitting, and that's going to cost $1 million. So let's see here. I know I talk a lot about how expensive this stuff is, but in reality, it's still cheaper than a pickup truck. Let's see if I can get some slack on this. Okay, it went in there quite a ways. I think I got it in there all the way. I think maybe this has been cut off before because this line is stretched to its max, so I may have to get a new piece of line and a proper DOT approved union and make that line a little longer, but we'll see. Let's jump out and start up the truck and see if it leaks. Well, I definitely didn't stop it. All right, well, there she is. I think there's supposed to be a seal in there. That definitely needs to be replaced. So we're gonna run this up to Volvo, see if we can get a part. I'm back, it's the next day. I made it to Volvo last night just before they closed. It was Friday, so I had to get up there and get some parts. So you can see here I've got this fitting I took off of the transmission. This is the airline that was leaking, and that O-ring's good. You can see down in, I don't know if you can see it, maybe not. Down inside there's a little green O-ring, and we're gonna replace it with a new O-ring. And then this little ferrule snaps into that fitting, and that's what locks in the airline. This is the part number for the O-ring. If you guys need it, it's 1/2 inch, I believe. Let's see here. You guys can read that. It's 1/2 inch DOT air brake. And I bought this little piece because, and this brass union, because this line, as you saw earlier, I cut it off to try and fix the end of it, and I think it's been cut off before because it's a little short. So I went ahead and just bought a section. We're going to splice the section in. Always use DOT approved fittings. They have a metal one and a plastic one. I splurged an extra $4 or $5 and got the brass. It's serviceable. You can also replace the O-rings in it, so it makes a big difference. All right, let's get this put in. Working on getting this O-ring out. You can see it kind of in there. It's hard and dry, and I'm going to pull it out and then we'll compare it to the new one. Well, it's coming out in pieces. I'd say it's dried up. Maybe that's would explain the leak. Right? I know, I'm not shocked either. I mean, this is a 2016 coach, or I'm sorry, truck with over 500,000 miles on it. So I'm not too surprised that there's a bad O-ring here or there. Come on, man. Ah, there we go. Maybe that's it right there. I just want to get the rest of it out before I damage something. Like a thread or something. The sun's in a terrible spot too, so hopefully you guys can kind of see that there on the camera. Man, this O-ring is dry as it can be. Oh, there's another little piece in there still. See, almost got it. So there we go, no more O-ring. Now we're gonna take this O-ring and put it in here. They said not to worry about lubing it, so we're just gonna kind of poke it down in here very, very, very carefully so we don't damage it. Like I mentioned earlier, make sure you don't pinch these O-rings, because if you do, they'll leak forever and you'll never get them to seal. Okay, just like that. I don't know if you guys can see that down in there. Anyway, that little red O-ring, it just kind of fell down in there. Now we're going to take this ferrule. Now this was in the fitting when I pulled it out. When I showed it to you then, you might have seen it. This just snaps in like this. Just like that. And then when you push the tubing in, it'll lock, it'll grab it. Again, make sure you use DOT approved fittings, because if you have a brake leak or you have an accident, that's the first thing they're going to look at. And you want to make sure you're legit. Plus you want to be safe, right? I mean, use a cheap fitting. Hey, there's my propane tube. Had a few people ask how we fire protect the big trucks. Anyway, I digress. You want to make sure you're not going to run out of brakes, and a cheap airline fitting is the best way to do that. So keep that in mind when you're buying fittings. Make sure they're DOT approved. So basically, this piece is like a jam nut with a O-ring. So what I'm going to do is I back it off a little bit, and then I'm going to thread it into the transmission. And then I'm going to tighten this jam nut that'll tighten that seal up against the side of the transmission, and that's how these work. And then we can snap our airline into it and give it a leak test. Got the fitting in. Went ahead and stuck the line in there. Like I said, it just snaps in. And then I'm going to come back down here and use our handy dandy little PEX cutters, and we're going to cut this. There's some damage right here on this line, so I'm going to cut it like right here. That'll give me a little slack with the union, so nothing will be tight, and it'll give me some space to nip this off and reseal it if I ever need to in the future. We're going to go just behind this little damage. We're going to do that. We'll snap to fit, just like that. And we're going to put this one at this end. Let's fire the truck up, get some air pressure in this thing. Make sure that it's not going to leak. And we should be on the home stretch. All right, guys, well, we got it all fixed up. Got the AC line fixed, got it recharged. Everything works great there. Got the first air leak fixed. Had to retighten that jam nut just a little bit. And then I found a second leak on top of the transmission, same exact fitting. Well, same fitting in a different location. Jam nut, I loosened it, backed it off, tightened it back up, sealed up the leak. So we're good to go there. Well, thanks for joining me on this one. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. Let me know in the comments what you think about the video. Let me know in the comments what kind of stuff you guys would like to see going forward. We are back on YouTube. We're glad to be back. We really did miss you guys. So until next time, safe travels. Bye.